I advertise it.
Rocker, are you gonna be on the radio today?
We're live, honey bun.
Hello.
Yep. I'm gonna mute you for a quick second.
They can see your beautiful face now.
They can't hear you. That's wonderful. Okay. We're going live on the radio in exactly 10 seconds.
10 seconds. 10 seconds to air, Jules.
10 seconds to air. Welcome to Lisa's Changing Perceptions with Lisa Efflandt. Lisa is the creator of Changing Perceptions. Through life experience, she has discovered that we all suffer internal wounds that guide us. We live in a society that puts a label and expectation on everything and everyone. So many are in constant battle with themselves, never winning the war or ever feeling good enough. Lisa's Changing Perceptions is a show that offers tools and guidance that will assist you in discovering you and unlocking the chains of pain that bind you. This morning, it's just Lisa and Julie, just Grace, talking about Grace. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, Jules.
Morning.
Julie's back with us this morning. As she has said, she'll come like once a month or so, and we're going to do a special show when she's here. That's just Lisa and Julie. It's all about Grace. And we're going to talk just real, because that's why people love Julie being on the air. It's very real. It's none of it is scripted. For anybody who's new, I do not script a show ever.
I can vouch for
I
that.
have never even re-listened to a show because I know that I would nitpick myself so bad, so I don't do that. But Julie's very authentic and people love her. And so she's back here with us. So I'll get the business part out of the way. I'm Lisa with Lisa's Changing Perceptions. I'm a self-empowerment coach. I also have a diploma in hypnotherapy and a certification in NLP with specialty certifications in EFT, anxiety, PTSD, physical pain, and I don't even remember the rest of them, to tell you the truth. I just kind of go with the flow. I don't do cookie cutter in my office. Everything is uniquely created and discussed with you. You are a part of the program process. You help to create your own program to get through whatever it is. And I deal with anything from self-esteem and wanting to improve. There's people who have come in because they want to improve their, basketball game. They, just to see themselves playing better and build the confidence to do that. And anything to major trauma, PTSD. So anywhere in between. Not much shocks me in the world. And then real quick, I want to do this since Julie was here. This is Julie and I's coloring book that we made a few years ago. And I have been so bad about telling anybody about it. It's called Someone I Love Is With God Now. And you can get it on Amazon. Or you can contact me. In truth, because of shipping prices right now, it's probably cheaper on Amazon, to be honest with you. But you can get it on Amazon. And what it is it's meant for younger children to deal with grief. Parents often don't know how to discuss grief with a young child. And this allows the parents to read it to them so that they can have that conversation versus, unfortunately or fortunately, however you want to look at it, I know sometimes it's the best we can do. Sometimes we just tell young children they're in a better place and then we move on. And these little kids don't know what that means. So then they end up in my office later, not knowing how to deal with it.
Most adults don't know what that means.
Exactly.
So this helps them to talk about it. And it does not tell them what it is, but it talks about how to express how they feel about it and what it's doing. And then in the back, there are also, Julie has made these drawings for younger kids to be able to color, and it keeps them in the book longer. You know what I mean? It keeps them in there longer. So each page has little drawings and pages for them to work on. But then at the end, if they're little enough that they can't write, you could help them. If they're old enough to write, they could do it. There's a page called My Feelings, and they can just write how
That's
they're
awesome.
really feeling about what's going on. There's another page called My Memories, so they can talk about them.
Where can our listeners find this book?
On Amazon, and they can either put Lisa Efflandt or Julie Adrianson in, or the title, which is Someone I Love Is With God Now. It says My Memories, so they can write down the memories of the person that they had while they're fresh and, heartfelt. And there's also one that says My Letter to Heaven, so they can write a letter to the person who's passed or gone. My Prayers, so they can talk about what they pray for and how they feel about that too. And we're going to talk about prayer today, so that we'll work that in. What My Heart Says and What My Heart Hears. So the thoughts and things that are coming to their mind that they don't know where they're coming from or don't understand, they can write those down. And it can give a parent as well as a child a better understanding, but also that release to do it. So it's younger children. So it is meant for younger children. It is a coloring book. It is meant for younger children. But I have been terribly bad about throwing it on the floor. I have been terribly bad about advertising any of it. And I thought, the holidays are coming. People are missing people. There's a lot that's been going on in our world, this last year and a half. What really better time to remind people that little kids don't understand. And little kids psychologically see their adults upset. And when they bring up something, it causes that upset, and they don't want to cause the upset, so they keep it buried. And it ends up being something later on that is a trigger or a trauma or, something that they need to get over. Good morning, Denise. So anyway, I'm bringing that here. You can go on Amazon.com. We're on Amazon, or you could contact me directly to get one. Again, I'm just going to be honest, truthfully, with shipping, it's probably cheaper on Amazon. I mean, price-wise, it's the same, but their shipping is something totally different.
And you need to have your own crayons.
Yes, I do not use crayons.
Yeah.
So bringing that out. So today, again, with the holidays, Julie and I talked about this, and this is a topic that if Kent chooses to jump in, I know he and I have had conversations about. With the holidays coming, another thing, and people are stressed right now due to, well, there's a whole mirage of things. I mean, I suppose it depends on your perspective and where you live and everything else under the sun. So we thought we'd talk about prayer and the different kinds of prayer, because I get that question a lot. How do you pray? What? It's different for everybody. And I don't even know how to answer that question other than to say from your heart. It is what it is. And Julie kind of has her own thing. I have multiple things, and I just thought we could talk about it, and Kent will jump in with that. And Julie and I were talking because part of the thing is I have a friend in Florida. And we don't talk very often, a couple times a year, but it's usually around the holidays. So I've been thinking about him lately, that, because it's usually around the holidays that we end up chatting, and we'll get in a 4 or 5 hour phone conversation a couple times a year and get it all in one time. And he's a commercial fisherman, and he's rough around the edges, kind of grumbly guy. And I love him. He's just so straight up. Yeah. We are so far on the spectrum different, but yet it's fascinating to talk to him, and he's super nice. And I remember he was asking me about what I do, and we were talking about it. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's got a southern accent. I can't even imitate his voice because it's a really deep voice. And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about with all these angels and things. He said, I don't know that I'm up for all that stuff, but I talk to the fish gods. I know the fish gods are real. And to me, that was so funny, because of course that is what's genuine to him. He's a commercial fisherman. It's his livelihood. He's lived where he's lived his whole life. That's been his whole world. And I thought, and do you really think that God or spirit or whatever you believe in is up there going, well, I can't believe he called us fish gods. We're not going to help him.
How rude.
That's genuine. Yeah. That's his genuine heart and his belief. And the thing is when he says he prays to the fish gods, that's a heartfelt prayer request for help, for assistance, for guidance, for, all kinds of things. He's like, I'll pray to the fish gods. And where do I put my boat today? Where are they going to bite? Where am I going to find my income, my livelihood, my work? It's still a prayer. That's complete prayer. And it doesn't make his prayer any less than a prayer in a church or wherever you're at. You know what I mean? His heart is saying, I trust you, I believe in you, and I'm asking for your guidance and your help. That's all they want. In my view, that's all that is needed.
And that's all he needs.
Right. Right. And it's what fulfills him. So all this judgment about how do you pray? Who do you pray to? Who are you supposed to pray to? I used to get on, I've talked about this on the radio before. When I did my old show years ago, I'd have people call up and say, well, what archangel do I pray to for this or that or whatever? And I'm like, I don't know them all. I could pretend I do, but I don't know them all. But I did know the significance that were in my life that I needed or whatever. And they're like, okay, so if I'm sick, I pray to this one. And if I need protection, I pray to this one. I'm like, listen, you are totally thinking from the human mindset.
Right.
So Archangel Michael is the protector. A lot of officers and things have an Archangel Michael tattoo on them. He's the protector, right? And Archangel Raphael's a healer. That's the healing angel, so to speak, right? I said, so this is what you're basically saying. So if you say, Archangel Michael, I'm sick, please help me heal. Please, bring me healing. Do you really think Archangel Raphael sits there going, asshole? I cannot even believe.
Damn it. They prayed to him again.
Let's see how that works out for them. Let's see how that works out for them.
Somebody transferred me to the wrong department. I'm in so much trouble.
Right, but that's from the human ego mindset. They don't really care what you call them. They just want you to call them.
That's it.
Just ask for help. And another thing, and we'll get it now, I'll let Julie talk. I won't take up the whole show too. But another thing that I've discovered is that when people talk to me about, well, I prayed and nothing happened. And I'm like, oh, tell me about your prayer. If you don't mind, tell me about your prayer. And what's interesting is people will pray and they pray that they want it exactly how they want it. And my response is this: if you knew the right way for everything, you wouldn't be so concerned about praying for something different now, would you?
You certainly wouldn't.
And for the record, in my view, that's a command, not a prayer.
Exactly. There's no making demands.
Yeah, there is. They just don't necessarily get answered. But I've been one to scream the commands, and that's what we're going to talk about with different types of prayer. I mean, sometimes my prayer is, listen, you guys are pissing me off down here. Need some help. Sometimes that's the best I have in the sentence. And then sometimes it's genuinely heartfelt. And sometimes, you know what, everything's great, but I still pray. I still say thank you. And I still, you know what I mean? Thank you. Thanks, Kent. See how I get service here. Just like Julie did. Julie's husband brought it. I get Kent. Same difference.
Cheers.
Cheers. Sometimes it's just, hey, I'm great. Thank you. I'm feeling great today. Please offer healing to everyone involved. Please accept my gratitude. Please. Whatever it is, it's different. So we'll talk about all the different types, and I'll let Julie talk now. But that's kind of our topic today, and it's very real. But in truth, prayer can be very lighthearted. It doesn't always have to be some intense thing. Because I have a girlfriend. All right, one more thing. I know I talked to you. I have a girlfriend who changes her whole demeanor and voice when she does prayer. Mm-hmm. Because we've done, and I said, why do you do that? And she said, because I want to show respect. I said, you were talking like a trucker 5 minutes ago. Do you think they didn't hear you? Like, oh, that part's blocked out. They know who you are and who your essence is. And as long as it's a heartfelt truth and genuine, to me, that's what matters. That's the truth that matters, And yeah, and I'm like, look how sweet you sound. And she is a wonderful person. I don't mean to say she's not, but it's so funny because the entire demeanor, voice tone, everything changes and goes to like this angelic, beautiful thing. And I'm like, 5 minutes ago, you were a trucker woman having a fit. And, well, yeah, but that's what you have to do when you pray. And I don't criticize it. I tease her because she's my friend for many, many, many years. But I do tease her. But I'm like, hey, you know what? If that's what, for whatever reason, pulls her into a genuine, heartfelt space of what she feels, do it. Do it. Do whatever. Do whatever makes you happy. What makes you feel it. Talk to the fish gods. I may call the fish gods. I haven't had fish in a long time. I don't know.
I may start. I may do that as well. I wonder if they live in Colorado too.
Yeah.
So now I'll let you talk, Jules.
I just was thinking to myself, when you brought up your friend that changes her whole demeanor, how my process of praying has changed since I moved to Colorado.
Really, how's that?
I think it's much more casual. It's much more conversational. And I find peace in the outdoors. Now, instead of church, and I love to go to church, and I've experimented with lots of different kinds of church, and that brings in all kinds of different ways of praying and whom you're praying to, whatever that means. I've always kind of been of the belief that everybody's talking to the same. I always say the same guy because I'm from Chicago and that's how I talk. But everybody's talking to the same entity. They just look different because you're comfortable
And have different names, different
with
titles.
different names and look different. You know, when you see pictures of Jesus, you see pictures of the Buddha, you see pictures of the Virgin Mary, you see pictures of whomever your entity is. It's hard it might be a little bit harder for a young kid to connect with somebody that is so different from them. And maybe that's why they all have different looks or what have you. But I think for me, my prayer has become conversational. And I feel more casual about it. So I think probably, although maybe years ago, my voice probably changed to that serious angelic thing. Now I'm just sort of talking.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
And
how
I,
it's become
I,
for
I
me.
like that more
What
because
do you think allowed you in Colorado to develop versus being out here?
quiet. I mean, I think that my life got much quieter when we moved because I moved away from anybody and everybody I ever knew. So that allowed me to find quiet, whereas the previous 50 years I was on this earth, I had no quiet. And I didn't seek quiet. That was probably my responsibility too, but I wasn't as aware of how finding quiet can allow that comfort with communicating to the beyond for me. That's what it was for me. And I would encourage everybody, all your million listeners that we have, to do whatever you need to do. And it's hard to say, carve out a 30-minute slot every day. I mean, that life is, I'd like to think that
Right.
we were all, yeah, it's an impossibility. And I mean, pray when you're in your car, talk to whomever in your car. Talk to whomever going up and down the grocery aisles. Talk to whomever when you're in the John. Talk to whomever, whatever, because they know you do that too.
So here's a question for you two then. Where did it get bastardized, right? To a grocery shopping list. Oh, pray for, mom and dad, pray, you know what I mean? So instead of having that conversation, as you're saying, it all of a sudden became, and pray for the homeless, and pray for the this, and pray for the that. It's like a checklist.
But it's the
You know what
same
I'm saying?
to me. That's the same checklist that has screwed us all up. And if you don't own this, and if you don't have this
Mm-hmm.
title, and if you don't do this, then you're not good enough. Um,
And can I just
my
let me
belief is
just
that
say this?
prayer and all of that, your checklist should be the way you live every day.
Okay.
Every day, if you see a homeless or somebody that needs help and you feel that pull
Mhm.
that they've caught your attention. That's how I believe spirit brings them into our wheelhouse. When something significantly caught our attention and has been brought into our presence and we can do something about it. That is our checklist. Our checklist is not what we say sitting in a pew or in the woods or wherever it is. That is not our checklist. That is our facade. Our checklist should be the way we live every single day.
And Ken, I think that all came in, and I think we're covered because we're not like the FDA or anything, are we?
No, we're not FDIC.
FCC, not FDA.
I'm in the bank.
Yeah, the
FDIC,
Drug
yeah.
Yes,
Administration does not talk to us. So
whatever,
talk about that.
whatever alphabet letter. I think we've all been so programmed and so guilted into quote unquote covering our asses.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where it comes in. I think that if you went out today for an experiment and every person you saw, or as many people as you could possibly see or chose to see in your day, and you offered them a namaste and just moved on, just offer them a namaste, offer them what's sacred in me honors what's sacred in you, and move on.
Right.
Imagine how much more connected we would all be.
Right.
Well, and accept that that's what somebody says. And, this goes for a lot of topics, not just prayer, but it's not necessarily about the words that we say, but the intent behind them.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like the battle now with the holidays coming up. Are you allowed to say happy holiday? Are you allowed to say Merry Christmas? Are you allowed to say namaste? Who the hell cares what words you use as long as your heart is saying, I see you.
Yeah.
And I offer you goodness.
Yeah, that's it.
It doesn't matter what word. So it's again another topic of an I'm right and you're wrong kind of society.
Yeah.
Stop. When it comes to every aspect of life, stop. It's about intent. And I've had this argument because when I worked at the school, I am not good on staying up with political correctness.
No.
You're kidding.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, it's every 15 seconds. I'd have to quit my job and study what the new thing of the day is.
It's like the stock
And
market.
so I apparently mistermed something that was no longer politically correct, although I know I'm old and I know that at one point it was okay. And I said, okay, I'm sorry that you feel that way, but what was my intent? Did I have ill intent towards you? They said, well, no, we know you didn't have ill intent, but we didn't like it. My intent is what matters, and people's intent is what matters. There are people who speak the perfect words to everything that fits into society that have no true heartfelt intention behind them besides to appear as though they fit. I would rather have somebody jumble on their words and stumble on their words than and know that it came from their heart and they were genuinely trying to do something, especially when somebody steps outside their comfort zone to really try. You know what I mean? That to me is the most heartfelt thing. If their words aren't perfect, but I can feel their energy behind it. I know for them it was something big. It was, something difficult. Those are the things that truly matter. So, yeah, if you offer a namaste, or we got the holidays coming, a Merry Christmas or a Happy Holidays, or none of that should be offensive unless somebody's intentionally trying to trigger you. Well, here's the reality. If somebody's intentionally trying to trigger you, they're an asshole. Walk away.
Yeah.
Sums it up.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. It's everybody's choice, right? It's kind of everybody's choice to engage with everybody.
If they're a triggering, intentional person, your offense to it is going to feed them, not change them. It is going to give them a reason to do it again, because people who tend to want to do that are looking to offend you and to get your response. It makes them feel important. It's called gaslighting. We could do a whole show on gaslighting. So your greatest, strongest response is just to look at them and walk away and realize I don't need to be offended by them. One of the students, I used to have my motivational board in the ISS room, and the kids loved it, believe it or not. And one of their rewards for getting caught up on schoolwork was that they could choose a motivational quote and put it up on the board.
Oh, nice.
And they would go search them. And one of them put up there, never worry about the opinion of someone you would not go to for advice.
Ooh.
And I was like, that's amazing. Sure. If everybody on the planet could just learn that.
Wow.
Wouldn't we be better? Because they had to get their motivational quotes approved by me, because just because they think it's motivational does not necessarily mean that I'm going to let it be on the board. But that was one of the best ones, I think, that ever got put up there. And I thought, God, everybody young and old could learn that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think I'm gonna pick on religion for a minute, is they've tried to capitalize on prayer, the term prayer, and they have bastardized it by replacing prayer perhaps with meditation. Two different things, right? Replacing prayer with you have to go into your closet and kneel down and genuflect. And,
right. You better have a crucifix hanging on the wall with a spotlight.
Yeah.
And, because other than that, they don't hear you.
Right. So I love what you ladies are saying, because it's so many people, go like this. Oh my God, I'm going to pray for you. And then the day goes by, and the next time I see her, I'm like, oh God, I didn't pray for you.
Now I suck.
And now I've got guilt. And,
right.
I'm gonna pray for you, Julie. And then the next time I see Julie, she's got a cold, and I'm like, oh damn it. That's because I didn't pray
Yeah,
for
that's
her.
because I didn't pray for her. It's all my fault.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too, is that the praise, it's like, okay, let's use the Book of Faith.
Yeah.
As the things come up, I'm an animal person. So, the animals that need homes, or the animals that are rescued in the stories, or
Yeah.
abducted children, or missing, you know what I mean? All those things, they scroll past you all the time. And if you don't share this, you don't care,
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
Right.
And I will
Oh.
say, every time one scrolls past, I simply say, angels, please be with them.
Yeah.
Or angels, please assist them to get home.
Now,
That's all I say. I don't share it all the time. If it's local to me and a child missing, yes, I do, because I want to see people to see it. But 99% of the time, I just, angels, please be with them, please assist them home, or angels, please be with them, please help them heal. And then I keep scrolling. Now, that doesn't mean I don't care. In the second that I say that to that particular thing that got put
That's your
into my
prayer.
wheelhouse
Yeah.
of attention, I mean it.
Yeah.
If I do that for an hour and spread it 900 times on the Book of Faith, it does not mean I cared more.
Right.
The moment that I said it and it came from here, it matters.
Bingo.
It matters. So yeah, this whole facade of what is supposed to be, and it's not just religion that does it, because now the whole love and light world has done it too. And I've told this story before too. I was reading a book. I like to read about the different archangels and the different theologies behind them, and it fascinates me. And I was reading a book that a spiritualist, a medium, had written on Archangel Raphael. So I'll read that one. That's interesting. My husband, it wasn't sick at the time. It was just before, interestingly enough, that I started to learn that. But I'm reading it, and they said in there specifically, if you want to call Archangel Raphael for healing, you must say this prayer exactly how I have it worded. Really? So if they don't buy your book, they're screwed?
No.
And he's up there going, oh, hallelujah, you're the only one I'm talking to.
Yeah.
I thought, why do you do this to people? What a horrible thing to say. Why can't you just say what I felt and I discovered when I went to reach Archangel Raphael is, this is the prayer that I say. If it resonates with you, here you go. But I don't think Archangel, if Julie says, Archangel Raphael, I'm sick, please show me how to heal, he's not going, did you buy your book? You used the wrong word. You did not read it. She said to read it exactly how it said. Why didn't you buy the book? Now you got to die.
I think that this is pretty close to buying St. Joseph and putting him upside down in the west side corner of your yard. Da, 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 da.
That works. Don't talk that, sister. I did it. It works.
But would it have also worked had you had just said a little, as we're talking about today, prayer? Did you have to spend the $20 on the just St. Joseph?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
The power of the plastic one. You're ripping out of its cellophane.
Well, and as we're laughing, here's the way I see that, because I use smudge and things too in my house. Like I smudge my house to clear energies from it and stuff. I think that objects, if they resonate to you, increase your intention. They make you feel that it works. So why does that probably work? Because when you do it, your energy, your enthusiasm, your vibration, everything about you believes it will.
Yeah.
So you're putting that into it. It's like a Ouija board. This is funny because people, when they tell me they're getting a Ouija board, I like cringe.
They freak me out.
And they say this myth, you really think Hasbro came up with like the demon tunnel? And I'm like, no. But my problem is that it's the intent that you use it with. And you have a lot of people around you that you don't know what kind of juju or genuine thought or belief they have. And you're conjuring all that energy into one little spot. No. So no, it's not the board itself, but what does the board represent?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then you have a bunch of people putting that kind of intention and energy and concentration into it. That's my problem with it. So just like the statue works, Julie.
I'm just saying.
I think it's because when you do it, if that resonates to you as truth, it increases your vibration, it increases your intensity, it increases all that energy towards it.
And I think that maybe speaks to, that speaks to having the crucifix on the wall and having your little shrine to whomever and your beautiful, which I never, and again, this is not a judgment because I love all this stuff. I mean, I went to Prince of Peace grade school for 8 years, so I'm all in. You know what I mean?
Right.
That all resonates with me and brings me back to my home base. And that's just my personal belief. But, like my great Aunt Mary, God rest her soul, had, her concrete Virgin Mary out in the front yard.
In the bathtub.
Yeah, with the bathtub. Yep, the whole thing. But I mean, if looking at that brought her back to her home base, and that's what I like to call it. I'm going to home base. I need to touch up on home base. I think that that's right. It channels all your energy, and whether that's, whatever that is. I mean, there's a man who, I live in Vale. I'm lucky and blessed because of my husband. We live in Vale, and Rocker and my pup and I walk on the Gore Creek Trail. And there's a man who says his rosary on the Gore Creek Trail, and he walks along and he does his rosary, and I admit it, I have one in every purse I carry. I never leave home without it. Better than American Express card. And it always makes me happy to see him because he's doing his rosary. Him and I somehow are connected in that moment. Right. And I've never talked to him. I've always winked at him, or, I don't want to interrupt his
Julie's hitting on the old guy with the rosary on the trail.
Right. I'm hitting on the old guy with the rosary because, but I don't know. I think of whatever it is that you do that makes you feel connected to your authentic self and your higher power, which really is yours. It's all, in you. I think, do that. Hang that crucifix, buy a concrete Virgin Mary, carry a rosary, say namaste, buy a mala, whatever you need to do. Because I think you're right, Lisa. I think then that's the secret to prayer is focusing all your authentic energy to whatever you want to communicate, whether that's
whatever feels right to
communicate. That's right. In the short.
Because when I smudge and I do bless, like new people have bought homes, I'll go in and do clearings and blessings and stuff, and I'll smudge through. And people have said, do you have to have a smudge to clear? And I'm like, absolutely not. You can call in to clear with nothing. I use smudge. I like the way it smells. I like to see the smoke, and then I like to open the windows and see it leave. And for me, that's the intent. I can see the energy leaving. I like the visual of it. But does that mean if you don't have smudge, you can't clear your house of the energy? Absolutely not. For me, I use it because I like the visual look of, okay, I see all the smoke. I see it in the corners. I see, you know what I mean? I see it everywhere in the room, and I see it. And now I'm going to open the window and sometimes depending on if there's no breeze, you get a fan or whatever to pull it out. But seeing the smoke leave to me is like, oh yeah, look, it's all gone.
There it is.
It all went. And I like the visual of that. But does that mean if I don't have, if I'm at Julie's house and Julie says something's in here, something doesn't feel right, Lisa, can we clear this room? And I'll be like, oh, my smudge is in Illinois.
Shit.
You're screwed.
Yeah.
You're going to have to suffer. Right. You're gonna have to suffer. I don't have any smudge. No, you can call in whoever you want to, or just raise your own intent and vibration so much that the room be cleared. This is about what feels right. And I've had this argument about religion because I have friends that are more on the religious side of things. And because of what I do and being a medium, I've been told more than once, well, you talk to demons, right? Cool. All right. I'm going to pray for you. Great. Thanks.
I can use all the help I can get.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And truthfully, they throw Bible verses at me. And that's fine. If that's what they truly feel, then that's fine. And I'll say, but that's what you read. How do you feel? That is always my response. Because I'll admit it, and this is always gets some backlash. They'll say, have you ever read the Bible? No. I'll just be honest. No, I haven't. And they're like, then how can you say? I can't say, but I can tell you that my faith is so strong and that I truly feel what I believe. I don't need to. I don't need to. So why are you trying to convince me that I do need to, when in truth, with pride, I say this because we learned the difference between pride and arrogance. Julie and I have been learning recently. With pride, I say, I truly believe that my faith is probably stronger than most because it's literally a part of my daily life and conversation now. Literally a part of my daily life and conversation to where I'm driving down the road and it's normal now.
But here's the question I have for both of you. And let's stick in this lane, I guess, right? Is as Julie said, hey, born and raised, and in Catholic school, and that's the only way that I know how to pray is to throw Bible verses.
Mhm.
Is
Good.
that right or wrong?
It depends. Do they really feel it?
I don't know.
Is it
I'm
well?
just
That's what I'm saying. That's what you have to ask yourself. Do I really feel and believe this? Does this give me what I need when things are tough? Because face it, a lot of us when things are rocking, we might slip a little bit on the whole thing, right? Our whole conversation, we might slide them.
True.
But when things are tough, oh, you're on that bandwagon. We're going, right? We're going to pray a lot. We're going to do whatever we got to take. Do you feel it? If you genuinely feel it and believe it, good. Good. If you genuinely feel and believe that this microphone is possessed to the point of it is the only connection to spirit, God, whatever you want to put for you, then go sit in front of that microphone and put it in there, because it's your faith, your belief, your feeling, your knowing, that vibration that they conjure up. And when you really mean it, that's the strength.
You bet.
That's the knowing.
So it's nothing's wrong, Ken.
Right.
I don't think.
Right. I tell clients too, because I always ask, what is your belief system? I don't care what it is. And my example has always been, if you believe purple monkeys run the universe, then we're going to go with purple monkeys. We're going to work with purple monkeys. And I've had people that come and say, I don't believe in anything. And I'll say, okay, well, I hope to change that. And they're like, you're going to try and make me religious? And I said, no, I just pray you believe in something, even if it's only yourself.
Exactly, Lisa. And that's the whole thing. I mean, everybody believes in something, and it doesn't have to be the classic or what everybody else does. Everybody believes in something, even if it's themselves. And that again goes right back around, because that's what it all is. It's all in you.
Right. And that you don't have to have any specific following or whatever, but I do hope that clients leave the office truthfully. If they have no belief system, that's fine. But I do hope that they leave at least starting to believe in themselves, because isn't that the point of self-empowerment?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To believe that you can do it. Because if we don't have faith in ourselves, then we don't have squat. And sometimes our faith in ourselves could be really, really low, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it can be really
Most
down there. And that's where sometimes having another outside source to say, please help me, I'm not feeling it, that can help. But if you don't have that outside source, okay, then let's figure out how to make that belief in you stronger. That's
And
it.
truly, Lisa, if they're sitting in your office, and this is just I'm just extrapolating this out in my little feeble mind. If they're sitting in your office, they believe that there's hope.
They'd have to, right?
Or they wouldn't be there at all. So just your belief system is just your inner hope that things are going to get better. And if you have that, then anything is possible, really, right?
Well, and people have asked me, what is your view of faith? For me, faith is when I can't see anything good. Oh, I'm going to cry. Knowing somebody's got my back.
It's home base, man.
I can't do this.
Yeah, home base,
I'm
right.
handing it to you. And I've even done it where I've been so bad, and I've talked about it. Actually, I brought that book too, but the week that I was suicidal, I mean, I was really, I'm done. And I have done visualizations where I take all that hurt and pain and sadness and stuff, and I put it into like what you would picture as a bubble.
Yeah.
And I just say, here, it's like toss it like the volleyball, like, here, I can't. I just can't. And it's either at that point, for that time, it's either I either drive my car into the dam and be done, or you take this because I don't know what to do.
And that really is, though, Lisa. I think that is, you've elevated yourself to putting your ego on a shelf and understanding truly we can't control everything, and you can't intimidate things into happening. You can't muscle people into things happening. You have to let that go. And I think that that's where we surrender. Good word, Denise.
Yep.
Good word. You have to surrender that. And man, if there's one thing that's hard for human beings to do, is saying, I can't.
Right.
And
there's been times where my whole prayer has been, I have no questions, I have no requests, and I have no answers. I am just lost.
Yep. And
I don't know what to do. And I'm truly just lost.
Yep. And that, you know,
And things do happen. And it's funny because a lot of times I think people miss what blessings and miracles and granting of is. I've seen people where I've looked at something and gone, oh my gosh, they totally don't even see what just came about of that. Like, I'll bring up, and I had a friend recently that was in a car accident, and they were hurt. They had whiplash and, injured their back. And they were very angry about, now this is going to cost me something. And this is the hassle of the car. But what had happened is when they did the CAT scan of the back because of the injury, they found an aortic aneurysm that wouldn't have been found any other way.
You hear that so often, don't you?
What a blessing. What? My car is totaled and and you have an aortic aneurysm that would not have been found any other way. And I kind of like didn't push it. I just went, let's just watch this unfold.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're a bigger person and they had a smaller car that was totaled. Well, then by the time the insurance and all this stuff, because right now used cars for whatever reason are worth a fortune, was done, they ended up in a full-size vehicle that was comfortable to get in and out of. They're aware of the aortic aneurysm. They wouldn't have known any other way. And they're receiving a lot of health care things because of the injury that they probably really needed for years.
Right.
It's a blessing mixture. And I went, and by the time they bought the bigger vehicle, because of how the other vehicle's price right now had increased, they ended up in the same financial place owing what they owed. You know what I mean? Like they didn't get hurt by it financially. And even after all of that, and I was like, oh my gosh, like you just received so many things on a silver platter. So when people say things like, well, I don't believe in all that. Things are hard, blah, 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 blah. Okay, things are hard. That happens in life. That's how we grow. Because if things are wonderful all the time, why would you change? Why would you do anything different? Right. But when we're so locked in our ego and our control that it has to be the way we see it and we want it or it's not, we miss so many things. So many things, and I've talked because I've talked to my kids openly about this. And then at one time my stepkids, and they know, I'm not the victim, but I've had a lot of major traumas in my life, losing my son, losing my husband, the rape victim, dealing with alcoholism, all of it. Right. And I said, those things have all wounded me and scarred me. Yes, I have triggers and things that I deal with it. I said, but bring up anything you want to bring up one time, and I will tell you the blessing I got out of it, what I learned from it, where I grew from it, what it made me better, and usually people go for losing the child because there's not many parents that can think of something much worse. Right. And I said, you know what? It was my first, and it made me a better mom for the two that followed. I had a different appreciation for being a mom and a parent and what time meant. Than I probably would have, because in truth, before that happened, I didn't want kids.
So a question, and this kind of floats back to an earlier comment in the show came in, is how do you know your prayer has been answered?
How do you know it hasn't?
I'm not asking. I'm just
but that would be my response. That would be my response.
Right.
How do you know it hasn't? How do you know that, like right now, Kent knows and Julie knows that my goal is to start looking for a house in the spring and buy a house in the spring. That's kind of and I pray, please bring what I need. I usually pray and say, please bring me all I need and enough to share. So in other words, bring me the financial abundance that I need to do what my heart wishes to do, but enough to then spread that around as need be when you bring something into my wheelhouse kind of thing. How do I know that? I don't have a house right now, but how do I know that prayer hasn't been answered? How do I know that scenario isn't being set up? How do I know that come spring, it's not going to be instant and how do I know maybe that it's not, but that's because the one that I really need to be in isn't ready yet? How do I know?
Julie, what's your take on it?
My take on that is it's all about the timing, Ken. I think that you tie that. How do you know my prayer hasn't been answered or has been answered? That's all timing. Did you think it should be answered in 10 minutes, in 10 days, in 1 year, yesterday? I mean, everything is a process, right? I say this in all my painting classes. Painting is a process, not an event. Sometimes prayers are a process, not an event. So, you know, I think that that's a perfect answer. It might be in the works, and maybe it's just acceptance of divine timing, or however you want to phrase that. Acceptance that you've put it out there, you meant it with your whole heart, and belief that in some way, shape, or form it's sometimes going to happen. And that also involves patience. Patience is second only to surrender in impossible things to have.
Well,
Right.
and
Right.
how do you know you didn't receive it because you're actually going to receive something better?
Better, and something that really suits you more. I mean, how
How
many
do you know
times?
maybe you didn't
Right,
have your own issues of self-esteem or value or what have you that
Right.
you
right.
went, hey, I was shooting low, and wait a minute, my prayer
Well,
didn't get answered. Oh my gosh, well that's because spirit was shooting high, and this is what you got. How do you know that you're ready for what it is you're asking for? That's another huge one. Look at people who win the
well,
lottery. I know that
Yeah.
that sounds the amazing thing, and I'm not disagreeing,
eh,
just for the record, but right,
that would be enough and
there's
some
a
to share.
large portion of people
Yeah.
who win the lottery who are broke within 5 years.
Well,
They weren't ready for that. So there's a lesson in value, and there's a
right.
lesson in that for them. They weren't ready for that. And if you demand it and you demand it and you demand it, sometimes your prayer is answered, but it's to teach you.
Yeah. And the way I would look at it is thusly is God, spirit, that the energy of the universe is not a gumball machine or a something in the movie Big where you boop, here it is.
Right.
It and that's prayer is not, oh my gosh, I need a miracle now. You want that,
Right.
right? But if we're naive enough to think that all of a sudden lightning's going to come down and
Right.
and it can happen with enough faith, right? But and then we get upset. I don't my prayers. I don't ever know or want to know if my prayers are answered, right? Because it's that conversation.
Right.
It's like the gentleman out walking, with his rosary. He's one with the universe
Right.
right there as he's out walking in God's creation and being just there having that conversation. And I think that humans, I guess, really compartmentalize or make God or energy very, very small.
Right.
When I go, hey, I need this to happen. Please, God,
You're right.
And then and if it doesn't, oh, I'm mad at God. Really?
Yeah.
And I'll admit that there's been times I'm mad at God, and or I've talked with Julie sometimes when things have been real tough, and I've said I'm
Sure.
so angry at my faith
Sure.
because I don't understand. And sometimes a prayer with that when I'm angry, and I admit that that's the other thing I admit when I'm angry at spirit or my
Oh, yeah.
faith or whatever.
Me too.
I'm open to it. And sometimes my prayer in that is I know you can see a picture that's greater than I can see, and I know that you can comprehend something that I'm not able to comprehend. I'm telling you I'm angry right now and I can't see it. Show me, guide me.
And then, I mean,
That's it. And what does that do for me? It gives me hope that this is going to turn around because I can't take it and it's out of my hands. I don't have control over this.
yeah. And I think that maybe just the ability or the belief or the gift that you actually can talk to someone.
Yeah.
Isn't that the miracle of all?
And
It
openly
is.
with
Open,
truth.
right?
Because I
And
love
just be
I'm
yourself.
not going to tell God
Yeah.
that.
Well, or how about this?
Oh, like
How about this? I'm going to sit in the back row because, I haven't been great this week.
Right.
What?
Don't want to get any of that on me.
Right. Right. Yeah. I'm going to sit in the back row because, you know what? I mean, I don't know. I think it's
Right.
funny and it is dogma, right? Ken, I think you brought up religious and, I mean, I think I've been saying the same prayer my whole life and I always end it with, please bless my dad, mom, Nikki, and Magic.
Yeah.
Magic was my dog growing up. He's been gone for 40 years. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Yep.
But it's just that habitual. It's that and I don't, it's your intent, right?
Right. It
Just
is.
have true intent. Just be your true self. Just have true intent and really, really feel it. I mean, that's the miracle and prayer of all. And man, if we could just get a little bit of that.
Right.
You
And I
know?
think conversational prayer is the most healing and effective, at least for
I
me.
agree.
Like Julie talked about, like I'll be driving down the road and something will have happened, and I'm literally like, really? Really? This is how we're going to play right now? I hope you're going to spell this one out for me, you know,
Right.
like, and then I leave it go. And what happens is I release that truth. I believe in
Yeah.
everybody that I talk to. So I release that truth. I get that frustration, that energy out there. And then there's, you know, the people who have been taught this. Oh no, you just sent negativity to the universe. It's going to come back to you.
Ah,
And my response is this. Yes, I should have buried it until it brews into anger and I explode and harm people. I'm
Well,
pretty sure that's exactly what they were expecting of me because it truly is just this release of, and for me,
Yeah.
I am sarcastic. I am loud. I'm that
No.
person and that's okay. So
good
I
thing I'm sitting down.
really,
Yeah.
you know, or when my girls, I mean, my husband passed when my girls were 12 and 17. So I'm dealing with this and plus I have teenagers and teenage hormonal girls, right? So, and they were devastated because they were very close to their dad. So there's a lot of things and emotions flowing around in my house, you know, and sometimes in case you guys have never experienced this, teenagers can have an attitude problem. Just in
No.
case people weren't aware. And so there were times I walked around, hold my finger up in the air, going, so you get to be up there now, huh? You get to be where it's all peaceful and you stuck me with this. And people are like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that to him. He didn't want to die. And I'm like, what? What does one have to do with the other? I know he can hear me. I'm very frustrated right now and I feel abandoned as a parent on my own. And he was my partner in this. And face it, he was with me for 25 years. So he knows exactly how I talk and I feel so, you know what I mean? So I'm like, so I'm getting that out of my system because if I bury it in there, it's going to boil.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to stew.
Well, and when it comes to wanting your prayers answered, I go back to what Julie said is the intent, and Denise said the surrender is it's pretty selfish at that point. Really, heal them of cancer because your intent is
Because I don't want to be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
right.
I can't go through life alone or whatever.
Right.
Even though I don't say that, that's my true intent.
Right.
Right. It's not.
Wow, that's true.
You know, it's not that I really, really want you to live, you know, breathe life into you again. It's when 90% of the people, when you hit your knee or you pray or you send that up, most prayers are selfish.
Right.
Are selfish.
I've learned to say, please bring this outcome with the strength of that everyone, the strength everyone needs for the highest outcome of all involved. That's because I do get what you're saying. And I was that way when my husband was sick, of course, you know, and I did realize that because as I saw him suffer and I watched him suffer, the last 2 weeks were really, really bad. And I caught myself doing just that.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh yes, because he wants to feel like this for a very long time. That's when I kind of changed my view of that and when I don't want him to go. I wish he didn't, but I more so don't want him to suffer. Mm-hmm. Whatever is best for all involved, please give all the strength to do it.
That's it.
You know, because you're right. That was very selfish. And at the time, it did feel like I love him. So I'm sending this prayer for him. But then when I saw how, I mean, he's 6 foot tall. He had gotten down to 140 pounds from 180, couldn't eat, was in pain. And I'm like, I stopped one day literally and looked at him and went, what the hell are you doing? You know, like that was for me and the girls and stuff. And what's best for him. No, you know, and some people who believe one way will say, so you wish death on him? What?
Yeah.
That's the stupidest, most ignorant thing you could have said to me. No, I wish whatever's best for him. I just wished him not to suffer. And I allow someone greater than me to determine what that means. Mm-hmm. What is his life contract? What does that mean for him? But I'm praying for the pain to end. Mm-hmm. Do I hope it comes out one way? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But if it doesn't, it doesn't, because the prayer really needed to be about him. And that was something I learned. There was a 2-week span of a lot of stuff happening up here, you know, and that was one of the things that I learned is that wasn't up to me. Yeah. That was between, in truth, him and spirit.
Yeah.
Him and spirit. So we do pray selfishly and we pray for what makes us more comfortable.
Yes, we do.
So true, right? And that's, prayer is a verb,
Right.
right?
It's
It's
an
not an
action.
it's yeah it and prayer can be, it doesn't mean, I mean, as an action, I can be praying or in tune with the universe as I'm, um, you know, working in a soup kitchen. That just being in that unselfish spot,
Right.
is huge.
Well, and that's an interesting thing you bring up too, because the holidays are coming. Because
Yeah,
how many people do we see that frankly are shits year round?
yeah,
And then all of a sudden comes Christmas, and that's their claim to fame is something like that. And that's fine. Do whatever you're going to do.
yeah.
But I have a belief that faith isn't a thing, it's a way of life.
Hmm.
And it's a way that you think and that you feel and that you do. And it doesn't make me a saint. And people who have seen me lose my cool are
Hmm.
very well aware.
Yeah,
I have a very long fuse, but once it's lit, bring it.
yeah.
Let's have a go. And that doesn't mean I'm less faithful. That means I'm human.
Hmm.
But my daily life is okay, how do we go about this? And as things are presented in life that are not easy or triggering or whatever, I stop and go, okay, what is the big picture of this?
Hmm.
What is this teaching me? What is this showing
Yeah.
me? What can I take from this? And what is the best way to handle it if I had to meet my maker today? And I truly stick that in my head every day. If I met my maker today, would I be proud of this decision?
Yeah.
And here's the key: based on the knowledge that I have in this moment, meaning my emotional state, my financial state, my mental state, what I have in this moment. Because here's the thing: we look back 2020, always hindsight. Why? Well, because we learned a whole bunch since then. So
Right.
my faith would be in this moment, what is the best I can do? And if what with the decision that I make, if I died today would and met my maker, would I be proud? Doesn't mean it's right. I could be making a mistake.
Yeah.
But if in that moment I can consciously go, you know what, in this moment, this is the thing that feels right to me that I could live with and answer for later, I'm going to do it. And sometimes you get your butt kicked and you go, oh, that wasn't the best one. But you know what? Okay, fine. You know what I did? I learned not to do that next time. I learned why that doesn't work. So the next time I'm presented with something similar,
Yeah.
I will know, well, this one doesn't work. We're down to 4 minutes. Ken's giving me this, so we have 4 minutes.
And I just going to say one thing on that. Call out to all y'all who are beating yourselves up for things you did when you were 18 years old.
No kidding. And here's the worst of it, and I see it all the time, is that people are dwelling on what they did or for the last 20 or 30 years. And then you know what they're doing? The same thing.
Well,
And not going, wait a minute. Yes, I'm regretful for this mistake I made, or I'm regretful for this thing that I did, or, whatever I did. And what can I do so that moving forward, I don't repeat that?
Mhm.
Because here's what people don't understand. We're trained that that's also, you should pay your dues. Well, how is it possible to consider, we should say, that by paying your dues is learning from that and developing a better life and a better way of being? And then people are like, but I need to pay the penance for that. How do you know you're not paying the penance for that? By being the example to someone else who thinks they can't.
Morning, Mary.
Morning,
Maybe
Mary.
your penance is to be the example for everyone you come across who thinks they can't either,
Yeah.
but you did. And now you're their hope. So maybe rather than paying your penance, you are the blessing.
Yeah.
But you have to have the insight and the strength to really look at yourself and go, what did I do? Why did I do that? What caused me to do that? What belief did I? And really dig into the muck and then realize you were human.
Mhm.
And the only choice you have is to remain miserable or change.
Or change.
That's it. That's it, folks. There's your answer.
I mean, and
What
it's pretty
options
simple.
do I have?
Yeah.
Remain where you are or go somewhere different.
Pretty simple.
Yeah. And I think,
But other people won't like that. Maybe if they don't want you somewhere better, you need to leave them back where you were.
oh man,
I don't know how many people I want in my life going, oh, what do you mean you're going to go get happy? What? You're not allowed to go get happy. You don't deserve to go get happy. Why are we giving our attention and energy to that? Just like the kid in my thing put up there. Why would you go care about the opinion of somebody who wouldn't go to for advice. So if you wouldn't go to them because you don't feel they're a positive person or with insight that you believe or that would support you. Now, I don't mean kiss your butt. We all know I'm the queen of tough love. But if they genuinely say, no, keep me down, you need to stay down here with us because we're not ready to move. You need to be going, okay, well, you can catch up later. Love you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that people that truly love you will be happy for you and support you. And if you fall on your face, people that truly love you will say, you know what, you tried it, come back.
Well, and genuinely, what I've discovered is the people who put you down for trying are the people who don't want to see that there is hope because they're very happy in their lack of ability to self-reflect and to do it themselves. So they don't want to see you succeed because if you succeed, that means maybe they are the cause of their own BS. So they want to hold you back. They want to keep you where they're at because misery loves company.
And they're comfortable.
Right.
And they're
absolutely.
Yep.
Are we out?
Oh yeah, we are. We've gone over.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's wonderful.
Thank you everybody for joining us today. Thank you, beautiful Julie, who'll be here once a month. Everybody loves you being here.
Julie's awesome.
I love being here with you.
So we're gonna do whenever you guys see Lisa and Julie all about grace, this is what it's gonna be. We're just gonna yap and talk about real life stuff. And Julie's real and authentic, and it's just always a pleasure to have you on.
Nothing like two people that love each other talking about life.
The truth, you know what I mean? Without no eggshells, just the truth. I love you. Have a good day.
Love you too, buddy.
Everybody, stick around right now for Fellowship of Faith Worship Hour. And then following that, right on the heels of that, new time, new day, 11:30, Metaphysical Meanderings with Lana Duncan Hargraves. We'll see you.